In this first video on text, I'm going to cover some just really basic ideas of getting text on the screen and then converting that text into outlines for the purpose of printing. And I'll explain the outline process as we go forward. So the text tool is on your tools palette right next to the anchor point tool that we just covered in the previous video. And when you click on the text tool, you'll see the current text type that is chosen, the font, as well as the style and the size, and everybody's will be different. You'll also see the left, right, and center justification as well. So I'm just going to click into my shape, and I'm going to start typing, and I will type something. Let's pretend that this shape was maybe a wing of an airplane or something, and so I wanted to engrave some words on the wing. So I might say something like the SMPS Flyers Club or something like that. Okay. And once I've typed that text, it's actually will always be text that I can come back in and edit until I create what are called outlines. And what outlines do is they allow me to really turn the text into artwork, and it also makes the art piece, it distinguishes it from text in the sense that I can pass this piece of art to anyone else, and they don't have to have this same font on their computer in order to see this work. So what I do is I click on the selection tool, and that gives me the text I just created in a box. And even from here, I can do anything like I can rotate the text, just like we've learned from the other shapes. So I can actually, let's say I wanted to line it up, for example, with the wing, and a point size of 70.99. Doesn't really matter what size it is as long as it looks good for you in terms of what you're trying to print out. Okay, so I can see that I'm not quite rotated and aligned exactly with my line, so I'm just going to move it a little bit and line it up. Okay. So as I decide I want to adjust these fonts and turn them into outlines, again, for being able to give this to someone else and not relying on the fact that they have this font on their computer, I create what are called outlines. So with the font selected like this, I can go up to text and I can say create outlines. And what that does is now, if you look closely, you'll see that each of these letters now has little points on them. Okay, and these points can then also, because it now is artwork, these points can be reshaped and moved around just like any other shape. So right now they are grouped together. If I want, I could actually go to them as an object, and I can ungroup them, and that allows you some really good flexibility, because then you could just take the S and you can move it over here. You could take the M and move it down here. So now, because it's no longer text, you can really do some pretty creative stuff with your font. Keep in mind, though, that once you create outlines, you can't go back and retype. So I can't go back and change the spelling of the word flyers or the spelling of the word club. So you don't want to create outlines until you're ready to actually start using them and reshaping them. One last thing here on reshaping is, once I have these shapes or text as shapes, I could also change their properties. So now I can make outlines. And so if I click on this one and change the outline and fill pattern, I've now adjusted how they look. I can do that for each one of these. Okay, so that is creating outlines.